And good evening, everyone, or good morning, I should say. We are here this morning on KFST, AM and FM. Ken Ripley here, and we've got Mike Peters, who is our athletic director of the Fort Stockton ISD. Mike is here with us this morning to talk about the Fort Stockton ISD bond election, which will be coming up on Saturday, May the 7th. And early voting begins as soon as this Monday, April 25th, and continues until May 3rd. So early voting is coming up right away. This is for a total of $110 million for the school district in 5 different propositions. And Coach Mike Peters, welcome to the show today.
Hey, good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, Mike, we've done a lot of interviews. Most of them have been about football and talking about sports, but today we're talking about something very different and very important to our school district.
Yes, sir. Very, very much so important.
Well, Mike, I know that you are a big proponent of our school district. You've been here now how many years?
This will be I'm starting my 7th year right now, Ken, and like you said, Fort Stockton's been a fantastic place, and I think we've got nothing but upside.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Coach Peters, you've had a lot of success with your programs. Certainly in football, and congratulations on that,
Yes,
winning a district co-championship this past year, and winning, I believe, district the previous year. So great football program going on right now, and the program has grown since you have been here. And let's talk about that a little bit, because one of these bond propositions, and this is what we'll focus on with you today, is although we're going to talk about some of the other stuff too, but proposition number 2, or it's actually proposition B, is $12 million for stadium facilities, including a new field house, turf and track renovations, and stadium needs. And we're going to talk about that. And we've got the bulk of this bond going toward academics and school facilities, but a smaller portion of this going toward athletics. And I believe if I look on the pie chart here, it's less than 11% of this bond going toward athletics, which is, it's a good percentage. It's a good mix, 76.4% going to the academic side, and then about 11% going toward athletics. So talk about the $12 million of this bond, Proposition B, that's dedicated to athletic facilities.
Proposition B, Ken, it's for some much needed improvement, renovation, new construction with the athletic facilities. In 2016, when I arrived here in Fort Stockton, the superintendent at the time, Ralph Trainum, we had a kind of a vision for our athletic facilities, and we really focused on making sure that everything else was up to speed. Some renovation in the SEC, the new baseball, softball complex.
Yes.
We redid the track at the middle school. Mm-hmm. We put in a walking track, a smaller track there at the intermediate school.
Right.
We've really focused on building all that, and the Panther Stadium facility, track, stadium turf, all that has been the last thing that needs to be renovated. So. Yep. That's going in at this point.
And, you've also redone tennis courts at the high school. You've also built a tennis court for youth over at intermediate school. So a lot of different things. Really state-of-the-art softball and baseball facility right now. But you're right. Our field house is completely outdated and inadequate. So talk about the needs there first.
The biggest need, in which you mentioned a little bit earlier, was over the course of the last 6.5 years, we've really grown in our program with participation.
Yes.
With my numbers, we're up about 37% on participation sports-wide. Mm-hmm. Football, we're probably up closer in 50% range mm-hmm. As far as kids coming out to play. And that really poses our biggest problem in our current facility is the lack of space. We currently have a freshman locker room that has 38 lockers in it, a space to maybe put 40 lockers in. And our current 8th grade class has 72 boys mm-hmm. that played football last year. We've been doubling up. We've been tripling up in cases when you talk about getting into the track season and the spring sports. Uh-huh. And so really just having a facility that can house all of our equipment, all of our players, our coaching staff. That's first and foremost on the reason for the new field house.
Right, and then you have to consider accommodating our visitors. And, accommodating visitors in a classy way makes a big impression on the visiting teams, and also as far as playoff teams that might come here to have playoff games. So talk about that a little bit and the needs for our visitors coming to Fort Stockton.
Fort Stockton, we're a town that we thrive on people, travelers coming through, tourism, things like that. And that goes the same as far as, people coming in to play sports, the playoff games, just your normal district games, competition, and things like that. And to have adequate facilities and nice facilities just gives everyone that first impression of, that this is a class place to be. So having those facilities upgraded for our visitors, we do host lots of playoff games in football, which that's something that I take a lot of pride in bringing those teams here to play, and to have a facility that's above the standard is something that it's only a plus for us.
Well, we were having a discussion out in the front office here with, Darren Hodges was here, I was here. Of course, Darren and I do your broadcast of sports all year round, and it's very important to us, obviously, to have first-class facilities too, but not just for us, but for our athletes mainly, and for our students. And there are some things that I was not aware of that you're planning if this bond is approved. And so first, let's talk about the field house, the new field house that would be built, probably proposed to be in the south end zone of the football field.
That's correct.
Talk about what that facility is going to entail.
The field house facility, like you said, it's planned to go into that south end zone. We made the preparation for that a couple years ago by moving the scoreboard from the south to the north end of the field.
Yes.
That facility would encompass pretty much all boys and girls, outside athletics. So there would be a new state-of-the-art training facility, which we're in desperate need of. Ours is nowhere near where it should be. So putting in that training facility, moving the weight room into that facility, and then using both wings of that, one wing to encompass boys coaches, boys track, baseball, football, and on the other side, towards the softball, baseball facility, have girls track, coaches' offices, girls softball, dressing rooms, restrooms, shower facilities, as well as storage facilities in there.
Okay, so a nice new field house. I believe maybe it would be a double-decker.
We're looking at that. I think that with the space that we have, at least a portion of it being 2 stories is probably the best way to go. Okay,
now the other part of that is to keep the old field house, but make renovations there. Is that right, to accommodate visiting teams?
That's correct. Instead of having to move our teams out of their locker rooms when the visitors come in, to leave the building, because the bones of the building, the structure is okay. It's just everything else inside of it is past its lifetime.
Yes, sir.
So renovating that and making 2 large, modern locker rooms, shower, restroom facilities, as well as a place to stage our officials between games.
Okay, now let's move on to the next part of this, and that would be our stadium. You're talking about making some additions to the seating in our stadium, because I know that there have been many times that when we've hosted, say, Monahans or Pecos, some of these, or Andrews, that there's not enough room for the visitors' fans to come into our stadium. And also sometimes we have a lack of seating on the home side as well.
Yes, sir. That's one of the big points, and that's something I'm super proud of here. Is there is a lot of the visiting seating issues occur because we have a tremendous following. The Fort Stockton Panthers do, and our fans turn out for home games like no other. And so a lot of the times we end up with some of our fans taking up seats on the visitor side. So expanding at least a couple of wings worth of bleachers, which would probably be on the home side about 200 seats, 200 to 300 seats, and then 150 to 200 seats extra on the visiting side, as well as some press box renovations to get us. You talked about in the future maybe putting in a new scoreboard. Well, we'll need facilities to run that through with our press box.
Okay, now does this include new stadium lighting, or does it not?
It can,
Okay.
So that's part of the stuff. All of it, as it's stated in here, renovations as needed. That may be something that we look at. I think everything we have is currently on the new LED system, except the football stadium. And so
Right.
that's something we would like to go to.
Well, you've got some really fantastic lights at baseball and softball. I would love
tennis
to,
as well. We've put
Yes.
those on the tennis courts
that.
as well.
That's right. Yeah. I would love to see those new LED lights on the stadium. Now, we talked about briefly, this is not maybe part of the project, but it's something we might be able to do, and that's to pour extra concrete around the outside of the track, which would expand possibly that track to 8 lanes, which would make it we would have the ability then to host district track meets and area track meets and so forth.
Oh, that's correct, and that's a great point bringing that up, Ken. We hosting track meets is a big deal. Comanche Relays this year, we had 1,100 entries, and so just the impact that has on the city, that has on the school, is tremendous. So we have looked into adding that additional lane. Like I said, that I think the money will be there with the bond passing. And, it's really going to be engineers coming in and determining if we have the space to do that with. But we are well in favor of adding that extra lane. I want to take the district track meet out of Andrews.
Yeah.
We do a good job. Our staff is a good job hosting meets, and so.
Well, you took the district championship in boys track out of Andrews,
we sure
didn't
did. First time that they've lost in 11 years. So,
Yeah.
To get the meet moved here would be a huge deal for us.
Okay. Very good. Now, there's something that we talked about before the show that I was completely unaware of. I did not know about your multi-purpose facility that's a part of this bond as well. Now, the multi-purpose athletic facility would be, well, you explained it. It's going to be behind the HPE building. You're going to turf that entire area.
Yes, sir. That would be our multi-purpose facility is something that it's going to be termed multi-purpose because I think it's going to have some great use with our community as well as our high school and middle school athletic programs. We're going to turf that area. In that turf, we're going to have a football field built in, lined in, a baseball diamond lined in for overflow and practice, a softball field diamond lined in with backstops, both of them, for practice and overflow. The football field, one of the big things I think is with great interest to me is we're also going to line that field for soccer. I know we have some drive for soccer in our community, and I'm a fan of soccer as well. So having that facility there for our local people to be able to play and practice, our youth, and then possibly, at some point in time, move that into, if we have enough interest to promote soccer as one of our sports, that could come down the road.
Well, Pecos, the broadcaster over there told me Tuesday that they're adding soccer this coming year.
Soccer is the biggest growing sport in the country,
Yeah.
and the high schools across Texas have really started to play. One of the best things about it is it just encourages more participation.
Right.
It really doesn't take from a lot of other sports, and it gives another outlet for kids who want to participate to be able to play.
All right, Coach, and this multi-purpose facility would also include some bleachers and lighting. Is that correct?
Yes, and that's what we're looking at, lighting it. Those bleachers will be placed there. It could be a great place to make sure that our currently we play in 2 separate locations with our junior high. But to light that and put some bleachers up and then have room for lawn chairs and things like that, you'd be able to play junior high games all at the high school facility.
Okay, now the HPE building's already, it's a nice facility, but are there any renovations planned there?
Yes, we're looking at renovating the HPE, making some adjustments to some of the office areas, and there are some locker rooms inside the HPE, but we'd like to utilize them for some other things. So HPE renovations is definitely a plus and in this project.
Okay, so let's sort of summarize Proposition B, which is $12 million for stadium facilities, field house, turf and track, stadium needs. That's the way it's stated on the ballot. Summarize once again briefly what all this entails.
The total of Proposition B would really come down to replacing the the current stadium turf with new turf.
Yes.
Redoing the track with a hope of adding an 8th lane to it. The bleachers and press box renovation, a new field house, and then, of course, right behind that, the multi-purpose facility to really tie all of our stuff in together. So now we would have tennis, multi-purpose, football track, baseball, softball, all in a complex with the swimming pool right next door.
Well, it would kind of be the last step in getting all of our athletic facilities in good shape and in top-notch shape.
It would be top-notch. We would have the best complex in the region.
Yeah, and Coach Peters, kudos to you for planning all this, helping to plan all this, because that is, I know that you've analyzed everything and you know what we need. You're the most familiar person in our district, with this, and so it is a great plan.
I think that it's not only a plan to move us forward. I think a lot of it is necessity. You get to a point in a school's life and an athletic facility's life that you have to, take the step and redo. I think we're in a great time for it. I think this is everything that's proposed is a necessity, not necessarily a want. And I really do think that it provides our student athletes and our community the very best of what we can provide.
Okay, now, what kind of an impact would these facilities make on your ability to hire teachers and coaches for our students?
It sounds crazy, but it's probably, in the top 80% of what's going to just make a coach decide and a teacher to decide to come here. You drive up to a facility like that. I bring a coach in to interview in my office, and they see what we have to offer. That puts you ahead of everybody else who's in the running for that job,
Right.
And currently we struggle a little bit with that because, we have some really nice stuff, and I'm very proud of the stuff that we have, but to really finish it off would seal the deal.
Okay, now let's get your take on the rest of the bond election. We've got $84 million in Proposition A for Fort Stockton ISD educational facilities and transportation. Transportation is a big thing for you because we're in West Texas. We have a long way to go to a lot of these out-of-town games.
Yeah, the transportation part of Proposition A is probably, without that, we really can't continue at the pace that we're at. We're struggling, and that's just the nature of the game. We're driving, hundreds of thousands of miles a year, and to be able to keep that transportation fleet, buses, vans, Suburbans, things like that, up to par, and getting our kids where they're supposed to be safely. Without that, there's no sense going.
Okay, so we've got a lot of aged vehicles in our fleet, and they really need to be replaced. And then we got to buy some more buses, to get our kids to and from safely.
We do, and part of that goes back to participation. We've got a lot of kids out participating. For a junior high track meet, we take 4 to 5 buses full of kids. And so to expand our fleet with new and up to date ones is key.
And you're going to the area track meet today in Andrews. That's just one example.
Correct. We're traveling. You can look at the last board meeting. It talked about the total numbers of miles we've driven since August, and it's up in the 200,000s already. Just band, sports, extracurricular, UIL's going to Austin this week. With lots of travel involved. And
you can break the announcement right now. Our Fort Stockton Prowler softball team is going to play in Van Horn next Friday night, not this Friday, but next Friday against El Paso Riverside at 7 p.m. in Van Horn. That'll be another trip that the Prowlers have to make.
Yeah, and that'll be 2 days in a row because Game 2 of that series will be, Saturday. So we'll turn right back around and head to Van Horn on Saturday.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to let's touch on the educational facilities. $51 million of that is going toward renovating our schools.
Yeah, the school, the academic aspect of this bond is the top priority. The things that we need to continue to push our students in the modern educational world, we're behind that right now, and to get ourselves above the bar, above the curve, there's nothing more important to the kids of Fort Stockton.
Proposition C, Coach, is $6 million for Fort Stockton ISD additional employee housing. We've already done some of that. We've got 12 units over in 6 duplexes by the Butts Education Center. They've got the Spanish Trail Lodge, which was bought by the district for, single teachers or maybe a married couple, maybe a new teacher coming in. So this is important also to expand that.
Yeah, I think that if you gauge everything in our region, from San Angelo to Lubbock to El Paso, you'll see that one of the biggest selling points to getting staff to move in is the being able to provide school housing. I know that for people who haven't been around a lot of that, sometimes that doesn't seem like it adds up, but it does. West Texas, enough housing is already an issue because every town struggles with having enough available housing, and then affordable housing, where you're coming in with a teacher salary and being able to, establish yourself in that community. The thing about teacher housing that really works out for the town is over time, most of those teachers are going to enjoy where they're at and look to buy in that community, which helps out the community,
That's right.
Twice.
Yes. Okay, now Proposition D is $3 million for technology devices, individual items like laptops and projectors and so forth.
Crucial. It's very crucial for us. Where we are, there's a lot of internet things that we have to stay up on top of. Technology, the stuff that we get from the Region Center, from the rest of the state. We're just not in an area where you can get in a car and drive 15 minutes to the Region Center. So upgrading that for our students and our staff, it's a must.
Okay, now we haven't touched on this yet, and it's kind of is hand in hand with the athletic department a little bit. Proposition E is $5 million for a new recreation center in a joint project with the city and county. The $5 million is the Fort Stockton ISD's portion of this. The county has said they would contribute $5 million to this as well, and then maybe another $3 million from the city of Fort Stockton. So talk about a new recreation center as planned.
Well, in my line of work, Ken, I think that this part of the bond is also very critical. I really think that the extracurricular aspect, even down through the elementary age kids, is imperative in their growth and even in their academic growth. As far as us as a sports program, having kids in a system and participating all the way up through is important. So I'm 100% supportive of anything we can do community-wide to continue to push our young people into the athletic and extracurricular world.
Well, one thing that, going back to Proposition B, which is the $12 million for athletic facilities, I'm impressed with what you've got planned with that money. It seems like an efficient use of the money, and it seems like you're going to be able to get a lot of things done with that money.
Oh, very much so, and we will hold them to it. We're going to get what we need, and we're going to come in where we need to be on the price, and it's going to encompass everything that. I don't believe in if we decide to make a project and go for it, to half finish it or 3/4 finish it, that's not what we're in the business of. When we're done with it, it's going to be a top-notch facility.
Yes, and I know that, you're pretty frugal and that you want the biggest bang for our buck from our contractors.
That's correct. Bottom line with all that is when they walk out of here and we have a facility, are our kids better off with what they have? And, that's the standard you got to hold them to. It's not the quality of their work. It's the quality of work based on are our kids taken care of. And so that's what we're most concerned with.
Well, Coach, good luck at the area track meet today. I know you're headed up there, but I appreciate you coming in and sharing with us information about this Fort Stockton ISD bond. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'd just like to add that, I think that our the people that I've spoken with, people that are running for offices and things like that, everyone seems to have a positive outlook on it. Also, I'd like to add, if anybody has any questions, come by the field house and see me. I'll be glad to walk you through the stuff and talk to you one-on-one about it.
Well, if they see the field house, they'll vote for the bond. No, I mean, no.
Yes, sir.
No. The field house, it's functional, but it is way outdated and inadequate.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Well, you're correct. If they come see me, they'll see what you're talking about.
You've had flooding issues out there. You've had all kinds of. You've had electrical problems, I think.
Yeah, we have AC issues.
Yeah, so you've had a lot of issues at that field house.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, I appreciate you coming, and again, good luck today.
Yes, sir. Thanks very much.
All right, and that's Athletic Director Mike Peters with Fort Stockton ISD, and we will have another interview on Monday with Assistant Superintendent Amanda Urias, and so tune in at that time, 9:04 on Monday, for more interviews here on KFST regarding the Fort Stockton ISD bond. Again, early voting starts on Monday the 25th, goes through May the 3rd, and Election Day is on May 7th. And this is Ken Ripley for KFST AM and FM.